Good morning, PDHP parents. It's Carrie Ann from the Program for the Development of Human Potential, Parents as a Resource. So again, we are back together to talk about See You Later, Alligator. And I left you with a question on Monday. When your children are entering school, what are some of the skills that you provide them with? What are some of the skills that you provide them with to enhance or support their social and emotional development? And this is something that we constantly do throughout their age, regardless of what age and stage that they're in, okay? But thinking about a school environment, and a lot of times parents will say a couple of things to me, and they'll say, well, sharing is very important in a school environment. Taking turns, listening to their classmates, listening to the direction of the classroom, listening to their teacher. These are all important skills. Absolutely. Some more skills that we talk about giving them would be in the idea of manners and comfort. So let's get into that a little bit. And I do want to just say, even though we are in this crisis mode of schooling, classrooms are limited. Perhaps there is a subset of remote. There is, partitions. There is masks. Very different from when we were students ourselves. These social skills do not necessarily change, okay? So it's something that's always a constant. Even though school looks different, it's something that's always going to be a lasting effect for your children. So these sound great, right? Well, how do we get that done, Carrie Ann? What's the magic ingredient there? How do we go from, hey, this sounds really good, to actually imparting these skills to our kids? Well, I want you to stop and consider this. There is this technique called modeling. And I think that we forget how much modeling we do. And what do I mean by modeling? I first heard this term when I was teaching in a classroom. So basically, it would be maybe writing down aspects that I wanted the kids to understand, or reading information and kind of going through the thought process that I wanted the kids to see. So I would kind of do my own thing and then explain to them why I was doing it, so they could pick up those cues. They could understand that behavior, that strategy, that technique, And maybe there are different ways to go about that modeling, of one thing, so that I could reach every different student. But the idea was just showing, and explaining, this is why I do it. So think about things that you do at your home, maybe you've had some social distance gatherings, on your front porch or your stoop, or meeting up at the park and, wearing your mask. Well, I wear my mask because I want to make sure I keep myself and everyone else safe. Originally I would say, you have someone over and maybe you're offering them a cup of coffee or a tea or something like that. And you say, well, I offered them tea because I wanted them to enjoy it just like I do, and I wanted them to feel welcome. So that reasoning behind the action that you take becomes that modeling. And here's the thing that's really interesting about kids, and I'm sure you see this. We could say it, but when we show it, that's where it sticks, okay? Kids begin to grasp this, and it's a continual process. So it's not just like, I'm going to do this one time and it's done. It doesn't have to be all the time. It's not like you're going to narrate every move you make, but when you're in that moment, just be cognizant of it. Hey, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I did this. So that is where you can get them to grasp it. They're learning from you. They practice with you. They have guidance in practicing it. And then in the classroom, this becomes familiar. And eventually it becomes an automatic response for them. There is a learning process that goes on that I call AAA, okay, AAA. What does that mean? A is that it feels awkward to learn something new. The second A is becomes aware. The third A is it becomes automatic. So even while our kids are learning these social skills, we're learning how to parent. We're learning how to use that modeling. So yes, make no mistake, parenting can feel awkward. Parenting then becomes an awareness of that technique, and it becomes an automatic approach. So even as I'm telling you for the kids, have them practice this, have them experience it. It becomes routine. It's the same for us, okay? Now, also remember when we talk about sharing, that's even sharing just the time, not items, it's sharing of time. So remembering that your child is now one of many within a classroom setting, So think about the policies of the classroom. Think about learned responsibilities that are going on. One of the things that you can do for your children is give them a little independence of skill. And that really makes them feel like they have ownership of something when they walk into the classroom. They have a little control. Think about that development process that we talked about the other day. This aligns beautifully with them. So even think about, teaching them, familiarizing and becoming proficient in zipping up zippers. Their jackets, their sweatshirts, their sweaters, their bags, their lunch bags, their lunch boxes, their backpacks. Being able to do things like that, first of all, they help in a classroom setting. And second of all, they help your child, okay? Very often at home, we start to enable those things. I'll take care of it. It's just so low-lying. I'll do it. No problem. So just be cognizant of practicing that with your child and allowing them that time. And I brought up manners. Please, thank you, excuse me, you're welcome. All of these manners are things that are learned at home, that are expected to be learned at home. And they just grow in the classroom, So reminding your child maybe when they see someone in the morning, say good morning. If you need something, say please. So just that reminder of manners, okay? Now, one of the things that I have learned by doing this, now I will tell you, I was always a junior high teacher. But, having a preschooler of my own, working in a school, having access to a lot of your UPK directors, I have learned a lot of things that can be helpful. So I want you to think, one of the directors shared a couple of ideas with us. When you are buying a jacket for the winter, try to keep it to a shorter jacket. A lot of times we want to get like a full-length jacket so that we keep our kids really warm. When they're this little, it's very difficult for them to reach all the way down and zip up that zipper. But if they have some of those shorter jackets, maybe like a waist length or even a hip length, if they're a little more cognizant of using a zipper, it becomes easier for them to zip up. So think about it. Them being able to zip up their jacket takes out from the 15 kids, the 20 kids eventually, the 30 kids eventually, that maybe the teacher and the aides have to work with, okay? And consider also bathrooming for the children. This is another practical sense. A lot of times, especially us moms of girls, parents of girls, families of girls, we want to dress them up certain ways. But think about it. Those tights are really difficult for them to get down when they have to use the bathroom, okay? So making it as easy as you can along with the uniform protocols. Elastic waists are the easiest thing to do. And sometimes when you're buying your uniforms, just keep that in mind, what has the elastic waist in it. Sometimes we have boys' pants that look like trousers, but then they have that elastic waist. That's always an easier option. Also, when it comes to buttons, the bigger the button, the easier for the kids to work with, okay? smaller fingers, so it's more tactile for them. Another thing to do is to think of putting sunblock on your kids. If they're going to be outside, that would also be something that would be your responsibility as a parent to put on sunscreen, okay? And also think about shoes. You know, maybe you want to teach tying of the shoes at home at a different time. So maybe just Velcro shoes at this point, if you can use that in your uniform. It just becomes an easier task until they become very much aware of how to do that on our own. And that could be a goal. You know, maybe next summer, you know, we'll work on tying shoelaces, okay? So we've talked now for a little over 10 minutes, almost 11, sorry. But we went over some of those skills. Now, one of the things that comes up during this and already has, and I told you to hold on, separation anxiety, okay? So let's talk about separation anxiety on Friday. Let's take some time for that, okay? I hope you have a great day. I hope things are going well. Stay healthy. Stay well.